Hey guys, I'm here with Troy and Joseph from the hit internet ARG Marble Hornets, and also here is my bestie Kathleen.
Hi guys!
And she's also an avid Marble Hornets fan. So basically, first question.
So guys, is there any way you could describe Marble Hornets in 5 words?
Troy, you first. We talked about this today. What did I say? I think it was, look at the background. And mine would be, I don't know, where's Waldo?
This is in no way off the top of our head, so don't think we're all that funny.
We really aren't funny at all.
Alright guys, what's your favorite online networking site, like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Tumblr, what have you?
OkCupid.
Yeah, we're totally big fans of OkCupid. Like we're on it all the time. That's actually how Joseph and I met.
It is. Sixth grade.
Sixth grade. What?
OkCupid.
No, but I guess Facebook is cool. I don't really use a bunch of stuff. I'm really bad about updating my Twitter too much, but you know, who isn't?
I use Facebook. I've never had a MySpace, and Twitter, I just follow people. I don't use it.
Just like in real life.
Yeah.
You don't talk to people, you just follow them. But yeah, those.
So you guys seem pretty smart. Were you honor students at all?
Absolutely not.
No.
There was not a year in high school where I did not go to summer school. I was a slacker in every definition of the term.
I wasn't as bad as Joseph because my mom would like kill me, but I was definitely like a CB student, mostly C.
Alright, Lurker Pants wants to know, do the fans ever creep you out, make you uncomfortable, or annoy you?
For the most part, no. In fact, there are several that, I now play, video games online with a whole lot and talk to, and, I would consider them good internet friends. But to make the answer shorter, yes, there are some.
In every group, I guess.
Yeah, it's not unique to Marble Hornets, but by letting our personal life kind of be exposed there on accident, my bad, Troy, we did get ourselves into that, and it kind of took on I don't know, it came to the forefront, I guess, is, wow, these are people.
When our Facebook, our personal Facebooks and everything got out, we actually like had a kind of long conversation of like, hey, are we gonna actually friend people and everything? Because we were kind of, it was more me than Joseph was obsessed with people keeping, their immersion in like, Marble Hornets and everything. So we were like, should we let people friend us on Facebook? And basically we were just like, well, whatever, if they want to do it, they can. So, it doesn't really bother me. I don't know about Joseph, but it doesn't bother me.
I'm just set to offline on Facebook chat, so that solves that issue.
I don't mind talking to people, though. So most people. I won't name any names, but yeah.
Well, Lurker Pants also wants to know, what are your favorite horror movies, books, games, whatever?
Let's see. Horror books. I'm actually reading right now House of Leaves, which a lot of people, when Marble Hornets first started getting looked at by everyone, I would see a lot of people being like, oh, this guy must have read this book, called House of Leaves. But yeah, I'm reading that now. There's not really any scary TV shows on, but horror movies, I'm definitely gonna have to go with The Room. Yeah. That's a.
I really recommend it to everyone. If you haven't seen it, it's powerful.
Yeah, it's a powerful movie for sure. You should go see
That's
it.
one of my inspirations for acting.
Yes.
Is Tommy Wiseau. He directs it, he wrote it, and he acts in it. So The Room, everyone should check that out.
Definitely check it out. It's great. It was a big influence on us and our lives. Our lives, yeah.
Well, what about non-horror?
I'm trying to think.
We didn't think about this. Joseph is looking at his DVD collection right now.
We really watch a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
After watching Inception, I've been going through a bunch of Christopher Nolan films, Scorsese, of course. I'm not so much an indie type movie person. I'm not in the know. I am by all means part of the general masses when it comes to like the mainstream media. So you're not going to hear me popping off any names that no one's ever heard of. So I guess I'm pretty regular in my taste. Troy's the film guy. He'd probably have something.
Kubrick, I guess. I like Stanley Kubrick. We saw Inception, and it was good.
I really like that movie.
Yeah.
Well, it seemed that you implied that you have an ending planned out. Could you give us an idea of how much we'll quote-unquote hate you for it?
No. But it's funny you should mention the ending because Troy and I, we don't fight much. We've known each other for like 11 years now, been good friends. We're, of course, we have a house together right now. And we don't fight much, like I said. But we did get in a rather heated argument just a couple months back about not the Marble Hornets ending, but endings in general and spoilers and what you know about them and everything. And I'm of the mindset that it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me what the ending is because it's all about a journey. And
Joseph's the kind of person who will pick up a book and read the last page first.
Yep. If you rely on the novelty of a twist or something like that to validate your creative work, it didn't have much merit to begin with.
Whatever. I think you're crazy.
I think you're
a jerk. And then Joseph and I get in a fist fight right here. If we do, keep it on. Just don't cut that out. To answer the question, for real, we can't talk about it really.
So, where did the name Marble Hornets come from? Does it mean anything significant?
Troy?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Very involved process. Let me shorten my story here. I was basically just thinking, with the concept of the whole thing of, pretentious student film goes horribly wrong. I was trying to think of what do pretentious film students tend to name their projects and everything. It's always some kind of weird
Adjective noun.
Yeah, adjective noun is what it tends to be. So when I first got the idea, I was driving somewhere. I think I might have been meeting Joseph somewhere.
No, you texted me while I was out.
Okay, well, I was driving somewhere and I was like, okay, the next few things that drive by me, I'm going to name it this. So basically what happened is like a granite, delivery truck or something drove by and it said Marble on it. And then like a pest control thing went by and it said Hornets. So I was like, Marble Hornets, that's what it is. I feel like I'm ruining it though by telling people that.
Yeah, whatever. Alex probably did the same thing.
Yeah, whatever, yeah.
Well, it is an acronym apparently, but it wasn't intentional.
Nothing was intentional about that. Although it does work perfectly.
It really does.
Guest wants to know, what class does Joseph play most in Team Fortress 2? And if the other cast members play, what classes do they play as?
I am a medic. I also play a little bit of pyro, but mostly medic.
Pyro.
Because I'm a little baby girl.
Yeah, you are. I don't play Team Fortress 2 that much, but when I do, I used to think I was good at being a spy, but I'm really not. I tend to be heavy most of the time because I don't like aiming.
Tim plays too, but honestly, I think he just owns the game and plays Gary's mod. I've never actually played with him.
Yeah. It's too bad Tim couldn't be here.
Yeah.
He'd probably just be making like old Nickelodeon references or something.
Well, he's playing Duck Hunt right now.
Oh yeah. He got his NES working, so now he's playing that because that's just who he is.
That is Tim.
Some people have been wondering if you will be releasing an HD version of Marble Hornets.
I think I came up with a pretty good answer for this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell us in a little bit of a story. Back when high definition was first getting really, I guess, more available to the public, and you go to Best Buy, and they would have all, their whole TV wall going, and The big one that they played a lot around here was Pearl Harbor. And they would always show like the attack on Pearl Harbor scene in that crappy movie. And the effects they used were very obviously not intended to be high definition. So everything looked awful.
Awful.
Just awful.
Really, really bad.
Terrible. And so yeah, my answer to that is just simply going to be, have you ever seen Pearl Harbor in HD?
You can see everything that was not meant to be seen in HD.
Yeah.
So I don't think Marble Hornets really benefit from that. So short answer, no. Probably not. Probably not, but no. Yeah.
No, probably definitely no.
Probably definitely no.
All right. Noman Rose and Tetsu, however you pronounce his IGN, I don't even care. They asked, did any of the fan theories / puzzle solutions have any bearing on the plot of the videos? And did you ever have to refilm anything due to the players' theories?
I'm sure this will hurt some internet egos. Hopefully not a large amount of them, but there's always a few that feel like they're in control. But no. It was eerie how close some of the theories got occasionally, but we never altered our ideas to fit or, move away from any theories that were being posted.
Yeah, there's a bunch of, theories, that some of them very, very off the wall, that we would never think of ever. And, we read, like Unfiction and Something Awful and everything. We read all of those, and we liked looking at the, all the ideas and theories people were coming up with. And there are, a good handful of them that we were like, oh, wow, we should have thought of that. But it never, changed anything. We were still pretty set.
My personal favorite was that it was all a prank theory. Honestly, I unironically liked that idea on at least some level. But there was no way we could have done it.
Yeah, once that idea was introduced, we were like pretty deep in our own story. So we're like, it'd be funny to turn it around, but no. You'd be like, oh, it's really just Jay's birthday, and Alex wasn't really missing. Yay! Happy birthday, everyone!
So the Jankman wanted to know if you could give us any insight on what you have in store for the sequel.
Should I?
Should you what?
Just be 100% honest right now.
Sure. I don't know what you're going to say, but if we can just be like, oh, cut that out.
Yeah.
We can't say
okay. Well, to be 100% honest, we have not started working on Marble Hornets again.
Yes.
It's, we want to, but it's one of those things where we definitely don't want to rush into anything. We don't want to fall to your regular sequel disease where it's just a worse version of the first one. So we haven't worked on it at all, and it's going to be something that we want to put a lot of time, a lot of effort into to make it better than the original Marble Hornets, make it just more cohesive, and, just a higher quality product.
We haven't completely, I mean, you may not have been doing anything, but I have some, ideas floating around in my head.
Well, yeah.
I've written a few down.
It's nothing official, though.
No, nothing is set in stone yet, about the story or anything, but I have a few, ideas that obviously I can't share. But
the things we're working on now, we do have a couple of projects, but they're all comedy. They're all completely different from Marble Hornets.
Yeah.
So don't give up hope. I assure you, you don't need to give up hope, but don't think that it's going to correspond with the school year or the winter solstice or planet flying
or 2012.
It's going to be just a when it's ready type deal.
Yeah, we've been saying, people have been asking. That's absolutely the most common question people have been asking is when is part 2, season 2, Marble Hornets 2 coming out? And honestly, there were a few entries we had in this past quote-unquote season where we weren't super satisfied with the final product. So we really want to take time, really make sure it's right this time, because we did write ourselves in a few corners in the first part.
When you said we weren't happy with some of the final entries we had, there were some where we were just, it kind of gave us goosebumps again. When you're involved in something like this, at the very beginning of the project, it was creepy to us, and it would be kind of unnerving. Nothing you lose sleep over, but while you're filming, you're like, "Ooh, this is awesome.
This will look cool."
But you start getting more analytical about everything. And I said this in one of the Q&As we had. that it stops becoming scary and it's more just like a science project or something like that. But there are some times when I would watch the editing that Troy had done, just, get those goosebumps again. It's like, wow, that's going to be awesome. It wasn't exactly the same as when we first started, but I could tell exactly how it was going to impact the audience. And that's something we want to have for every entry, not just every third entry.
Yeah, no more. There were definitely a few entries where we would look at the finished thing once we posted it and be like, wow, that's filler.
Yeah.
And we don't want that. and like people would look at it and they'd be like, this feels like filler, and there's not really we have more information, kind of, but
it's filler.
But it's filler, and that's what we don't want.
All right, what is the operator's ideal date? Like a romantic stroll on the beach or whatever?
What did we?
I don't remember. I was going to ask you. We talked about this. We actually had a conversation about this.
Wait, was this the one where I just kind of shook my head and said no?
No, it wasn't that one. It was shoot, what was it?
I swear we haven't rehearsed.
Yeah, we haven't rehearsed at all.
Oh well, just think of one.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is where I said we're not witty.
Yeah, improv.
I'd imagine that the operator would enjoy nice scenic locations like woods.
Yeah, woods, definitely.
Probably something more rustic, old buildings
in
the woods
that are leaky and
where there's not a whole lot of communication with the outside world.
Yeah, dark.
Something like that.
Something like that. As little light as possible, and no cameras.
No cell phone service at all.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty standard stuff.
Pretty standard. Yeah. Candlelit. No, actually, no candlelit.
Well, he does like fire.
Okay, yeah, fire. We'll do fire. Yeah. Lots of candles. Lots of candles and lots of flammable material. Next question.
So, Jerdif wants to know, where do you get your ideas? Stating in another way, why is it so scary? How do you guys make Marble Hornets so terrifying?
A lot of the scares, because of our own limitations with how we had to film it, come from, I guess you would call them, the baser scares. The fear of being followed, the fear of not knowing what's out there. So I know Troy said that, he remembers those dreams well and everything like that, that it gave us kind of a jumping off point to look at each individual entry and try to figure out something that was scary, like the memory loss, not knowing where you were, losing large amounts of time, things like that, things that would freak out anyone regardless of the situation they were in.
Yeah.
And then you throw in, our tall antagonist there, and that sense of immediate danger, although it might not have always been portrayed well, that it was an immediate threat. You have that in there for the character, and if you allow yourself to be immersed, you can feel it too. So I'd say, just own personal insecurities and things like that. I don't know if we really got any other inspiration beyond the initial paranormal images thread on something awful.
Yeah, definitely in the beginning, in the the first season of Marble Hornets is kind of split into two parts. You had the whole watching the tapes that Alex Crayley made, and Jay watching that. And then after that, Jay kind of going on his little quest and everything. But the first half of that. What did you say? Quest. Yes, quest.
Excelsior.
Yeah, in the beginning, it was that whole being followed and who is that in the background? Like, did anyone notice this at the time? What am I seeing? That was more the scares you went for. And of course, the whole like digital distortion, coming out of nowhere thing. And the second half, we really, or when we were writing it, if you can call it our writing sessions, that we'll talk about that later. We really kind of go with Jay being all on his own, being going out to that abandoned house or whatever by himself, and that fear that comes with that of if something happens to me, no one's gonna know what went down. So being by yourself and being terrified is what really the scares we were trying to go for in the second half.
Yeah, as far as like outside media influencing us and like, oh, hey, we saw a movie and this was really cool, we want to put that in there. I can't really think of any instances where that happened.
Yeah, I don't think we when we were writing it, went with like, oh, let's do that thing that was like in blank. Yeah, there were pretty much no talks of the Blair Witch Project ever.
Noman Rose wants to know, how was the filming process? Like, did you guys film in order or in broken chunks?
Broken chunks.
Everything about the production was broken.
Yeah.
We always filmed the entries on a one-at-a-time basis. And that filming schedule was at the mercy of, school, work, if we were both in town at the same time, procrastination. So it was by far the worst decision we made throughout the entire process was to shoot it one entry at a time.
Yeah, that was not. I mean, but the thing is, we kind of didn't really have a choice, really, because otherwise, if we did it all at once, I was afraid we'd lose interest or something, and it just become like another unfinished thing. So I think doing it one at a time, we kind of kept a good momentum going, I guess, or more so than we would if we were doing it all at once. There were plenty of times where we were like, hey, let's do 3 at once, and then that never happened.
Yeah. And I realized also when we started this, it was a very spur of the moment thing, and it was
Absolutely.
in the middle of an ongoing thread on somethingawful.com, and Troy made a whole post about how he found some tapes and all this stuff, and I'll post them up. And then he texted me. We hadn't even gone down to start the very first storyboarding session, and the ball was already in motion to get these things out quick. So there was no time to really queue up a whole bunch of them. And then, scheduling just played out to where it was necessary to film everything in broken chunks for the entire duration.
Yeah. There's something I was going to say. Oh, yeah, also, with the whole filming it in broken chunks instead of all at once, is that there was that whole, I don't know, I guess hype is a good word, of going along with that thread of, those series of pictures that were posted. Like, people were getting really into it, and I was afraid that if we did it all at once, people would start to lose interest before we could get on that,
Absolutely, because that was probably the biggest key to the success of the series. We, right off the bat, the first week we had like 5,000 views on the first video, and we're like, well, there you go. And then it starts spreading from word of mouth. And the difference between, 5,000 views spreading to all of their friends and like 200 viewers is just, it's magnitudes difference.
Yeah. The first entry now is over
300,000.
300,000? It might have hit 350,000. I don't know. I haven't checked in a while. But, yeah.
Probably wouldn't be having this interview if we hadn't jumped on it.
Yeah.
So after hearing that, in the beginning, did you have plans for a multi-season story? Or was it decided later on? Or
there was definitely an ending plan that we were going to do. It was, if memory serves, I think, when we first wrote it all out, there was definitely no seasons going on.
No, absolutely not. In fact, it was originally supposed to be shorter than it was. Then it was supposed to be a little bit longer. Then it was just a matter of, we need to finish this right now. Because we didn't want to burn ourselves out any farther than we already had.
Yeah.
The original ending I actually put in one of our Q&A sessions. I didn't name it as such, but it was actually a really cool idea, I thought. It was going to end in a similar, I don't know, what was it, Ted the Carver?
Ted the Caver.
Caver, sorry. I haven't watched it.
It's a story. It's not a
story, okay. That shows that I'm telling the truth. Anyway, it was going to be a very doom and gloom kind of ending.
Very ambiguous. Hey, guys, I'm going out there and finding out what's going on, and then, like, nothing after that.
Yeah, but it was going to be a really cool shot of driving along a road and, the operator being at each little orange street light down this road that fogs up every night near where we live. And it looks incredible. But it was just not a practical shoot to do. And this story obviously
has evolved.
Yes,
a little bit.
It's evolved, and it just ballooned to such an extent to where there was no way we could finish it in the allotted amount of entries we wanted to do.
Yeah.
All right, Dre and Stick the Figure want to know if you guys are going to be posting any Marble Hornets outtakes on your other YouTube account.
Quick answer, yes, probably, but not until Marble Hornets is finished, I don't think. We do have some pretty awesome outtakes that are all, I don't know, what? Oh, Joseph knocked on wood. I guess awesome isn't really a good word, but like was very funny at the time. There were, with Marble Hornets, a lot of the entries, especially the more involved ones, like going to the house and everything, there were plenty of takes for all of those, and some of them were just outright failures, like falling, tripping over things in the dark, and getting our timing wrong and forgetting lines constantly.
I think some of the funnier moments actually weren't even caught on tape. Let's tell them the joke.
Okay. Hey, Joseph. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
My cat, Jasmine.
My cat.
Ow!
Oh. During the entry where Alex is seen scribbling frantically on the paper.
I think it was 6 or 4.
No, it wasn't 6. I know 6.
It was 4, maybe? I don't really remember the entry numbers by heart.
Anyway.
But, yeah.
So we're sitting there, and obviously it's all quiet, and instead of, I guess we could have just cut out the audio. Instead of doing that, we just had to keep on doing takes and hope that nothing made a noise. And Troy has a very nice cat. I like it, but it is loud.
Yeah.
And it was outside, and right as we started filming once, it just goes meow.
Like you could hear it clearly, and Joseph's like being all serious and writing on the paper, and I'm like, okay, Joseph, go. And he starts scribbling, and then you hear meow in the background. So, that obviously wouldn't have been a very good take to use.
There's also something we were doing with entry number 6, which is down in the basement when the operator comes across that door window. We were trying to do a head snap like we did in the entry number 1, and we did at least 30 takes. The latter half was with a head pop, and every single time it just looked like Night at the Roxbury head bob.
We actually started singing the song.
We did, but I made Troy delete all of those out of embarrassment.
I didn't delete anything. Tim actually is the one that probably got the most really actually funny things going on. Any entry where it's just Tim, I think it was 19 or something.
The one in front of the window?
Yeah, the one in front of the window where Tim is just talking to Alex. A lot of that was completely improv. And
Tim has some fangs.
Tim is a really funny guy, and I really wish he were here to do this interview.
He's so much wittier than us.
Yeah. He would just like, while we were filming, he just like walked over to where our junk mail was laying and started shoving it in his lips and like had these giant lips going and just telling us that was his creative process. It's all very strange.
It's very surreal.
But you'll have to wait until Marble Hornets is over to see.
They're really funny.
Oh, trust us, they're funny. It's just that getting back to the question is, you watch Marble Hornets and you're affected by it in whatever way, and then you go over to like my personal YouTube channel and it's just us goofing around in like the same set, and you're just like, wow, this isn't that scary anymore because of that. So yeah. That's basically why we haven't posted any outtakes, but there are outtakes. I'm sure there will be outtakes later.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We will never stop being inept.
Well, Guest Guy and Grim Joker want to know, how did you make your operator, and is there any way we could get one?
We can't tell you, but yes and no as to making your own.
This question was asked when we were doing our Q&A session thing, where people would send me questions and everything, and that question got asked a lot, mostly from people saying, hey, I want to do this for Halloween or something, and I'm actually kind of proud by the way, proud of the way it looks on the videos,
especially in the last entry.
Yeah, they look really good. Not to toot our own horn.
They look fantastic.
We're really proud of it, and we don't really want to tell it. We don't want to, ruin the magic of it. Keep the mystery up.
It's not us being jerks and wanting to keep the secret to ourselves. Eventually, we will tell how it's done. It's another one of those things. It's like, now that I know how it's done, it's not scary anymore.
Yeah. But I will say, I did say this before, we do not own a mannequin because they are expensive.
And again, we are poor.
We are poor. So no mannequin was used. And going back to what I was talking about earlier, people saying, hey, I want to make this into a Halloween costume or something. I absolutely would not recommend making a Halloween costume the way we did the operator.
It would be awful.
It would not look very good.
And not to mention, all I can imagine is 1,000 people going out and like getting arrested because they want to creep out their friends.
Yeah.
Going back to fans that are creeping you out.
No, it would not. Don't do that.
We wouldn't be scared. We would just be angry.
Yeah, we'd just be like, stop.
Dre wants to know if there's going to be any Marble Hornets merch, like stuff on Zazzle.
Probably not.
Yeah.
At this juncture, I don't foresee anything because, honestly, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean,
draw a circle with an egg and sell that
for like $30 a pop. Yes, I am. No. I mean,
put Troy's face on a T-shirt. Team J, Team Alex.
I'd buy it.
Too. I would buy a shirt with your face on it.
I'd buy a shirt with your face on it. But
best friends forever.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't really, at this particular point, it doesn't really lend itself to be, heavily merchandised or anything, and that's not really what it's about. We're not setting off to, this whole idea wasn't like, oh, sweet, maybe we can become YouTube partners and make $1 million.
We don't make money.
Yeah, despite what people may think, we're not rolling in dough or anything because of this, and that's not the whole point at all. We didn't set out to be like, hey, we're gonna ride this, idea and make tons of money. So, in short, probably not.
So I take it that you've noticed all the other side stories and the blogs about the operator. Have you been following any, or do you have a favorite?
There's a new series out, and I'm okay with giving them a plug.
Yeah, sure.
Because the Everyman Hybrid, it seems like it's probably pretty cool. But we aren't affiliated with any side stories. It's just To the Ark and Marble Hornets. But I wish them well in all their endeavors.
Yeah.
So, I do think it's interesting, but for some reason, I just can't get into them. They kind of not weird me out and like they're creepy, but weird me out in that it just kind of feels like I'm, I don't know, looking into a mirror, one of those like circus mirrors where everything is distorted. Because it's like, well, I've done this too, and now I'm reading how someone else would have done it. Not saying, they're trying to be the next Marble Hornets or anything like that, but, it is the related content.
Yeah.
So it just kind of feels off to me to follow them. So I don't. Troy, maybe a different matter.
The side story blogs and everything started popping up a lot when I would be, reading through the unfiction forums or something. I read a few of them. I did read some of this one called Just Another Fool. And the guy who made it actually contacted me asking, if I wanted to like collaborate with him in any way. But, I had to tell him, we have already written our thing out, good luck, but, we can't really be affiliated, in any good way.
Yeah.
Other than that, I do think Everyman Hybrid is pretty cool. And another blog I did read, it was called, what was it? It was about some girl, Rainbow Life, I think it was called. I did read through the entirety of that one, or up until, now. But basically, yeah, what Joseph said, it felt kind of weird, reading about stuff that came off of us. Not that, I'm against it or anything. It's just like, it feels kind of, I can't use the word Joseph said, I don't think. Yeah, it just feels like I'm like really into myself or something when I read stuff like that. I don't know.
Masturbatory isn't a curse word. You can say that.
Can say self-masturbatory?
That's redundant.
Okay. It feels masturbatory. Can we say?
Can we keep on saying it forever and ever? But yeah, and best of wishes to all of them, and more content for all the fans. It's great. The more stuff that's out there to keep people interested, to keep them entertained, that's great.
And it benefits us as well as them, because like people aren't going to forget about it then while we're over here stumbling around and trying to figure out what to do next.
All right. Do you have any tips on how to keep on top of producing such a time-consuming project, like with work and school and whatnot?
We are about to confirm everyone's suspicions. You don't want to listen to any advice from us in that, because all those huge in-between times between updates, that was our fault.
There was one injury, I think it was between like 7 and 8 or something, where there was like a 1 month big quiet period where nothing was happening. That was, I mean, there were things that were out of our control.
Work, finals.
We actually had to move. But yeah, after that one, that did kind of kick us into gear after that, because we were like, man, we really need to actually get back on this. I guess it was like a semi-burnout at first.
Yeah. And then there were many times where we would sit down and be like, okay, let's have a writing day. Then we would we have these whiteboards that we got specifically for storyboarding.
Yeah.
And we would just draw pictures.
It's like I would come into Joseph's room and be like, all right, we're gonna write this next entry. I mean, we did have a basic outline of what all was going on, like a through line of the story and everything, but we didn't have the basic, like the in detail for each entry thing written out. So we'd usually have to meet beforehand, have a writing meeting, we'd say.
And then there were times where we did it at the filming right there.
There were times where we typed up a script and printed it out and gave it to everyone who was there. Be like, okay, we're going to do this at the very last minute. But yeah, basically, I'm trying to think of a good, legitimate bit of advice to give, and my mind is blanking right now.
We're easily distracted because after 2 hours of drawing pictures, we're just like, okay, we're going to bed. And once Tim got involved, seriously, every time he would come over, it would take us an additional hour at least to film any entry he was into.
Yeah, because he'd just be doing his own thing. It's kind of I guess it's kind of like what it'd be like to work with Robin Williams, maybe. And I mean, definitely to a much lesser extent, I guess. It'd be just trying to keep him under control while you're trying to keep everything else under control and yourself under control.
So, no, we don't have any advice. Everything we've said, avoid that.
Yeah.
Never work with us. We are not professional.
Hey, shut up. You don't potentially have a career in this. I do.
Are you saying I'm not talented?
You're absolutely not talented. Get out. This is mine. Joseph is gone. He's crying.
Well, speaking of the media business, Sick Slick Man wanted to know about what got you started in the media business and what were your influences.
I'm still in college right now. I'm starting my 5th year this coming August. I know, congratulations.
I feel sorry for yourself.
Shut up. So my major is, I'm definitely a film major. That's basically, I mean, I love watching movies and everything. I'm not really into the whole, strict horror genre per se. Like the whole, Saws and Hostels or whatever. I'm not really into the whole big violent stuff. Although I did like the first 2 Saw movies; those are pretty good.
My foray into media started when Troy texted me.
And I was like, "Hey, I'm doing a thing. You want to do this thing with me?" And just was like, "Okay, I'm bored."
Yeah. I'm honestly more interested in the behind-the-scenes type stuff, the making the best with what you have kind of thing. Ever since we started this, I've actually found myself watching movies more and more just to see how they film stuff, how they, use lighting and, the, set pieces, things like that. I guess I'm kind of like the Matt Stone to Troy's Trey Parker. Whereas he's the talented one that knows everything about everything, and I'm just there to provide moral support and help him write.
And do silly voices. Yeah, basically that.
That's pretty self-depreciating. Next question.
Yeah, all right.
All right, Stick the Figure wants to know, can you provide any clues at all to the connections we haven't made from To the Ark?
I believe there was actually a question we had at one point that said, are some mysteries supposed to be unsolved to keep the scary atmosphere and all that stuff? And it kind of answered its own question.
Yeah.
There. Everything that's supposed to be a mystery and there's really doesn't seem to be a way for it to be answered, it's that way kind of for a reason.
Yeah.
There are definitely puzzles inside of it, nothing truly full-blown ARG-esque, but things that would kind of, push you in the right direction or like provide a little more enlightenment. There are just some things in there that are meant there to, they might be a red herring or they might be something like what I was just saying, that it's a mystery for the sake of being a mystery, and if you figure it out, good for you. If you don't,
that's okay. You
that's
can
okay.
Still enjoy it, I guess.
Yeah, there's no actual puzzles or anything like that that are essential to enjoy the series.
Yeah, it's kind of going with the question you asked earlier of like, why is it scary and stuff. I think that might play off of it a little bit in that, you don't really know what everything is. You don't know 100% of what exactly is going on because Jay doesn't know exactly what's going on. I mean, you only know as much as he does.
Yeah, the limited perspective is a big thing with the whole series.
Yeah. In fact, it actually made a bunch of speed bumps while we were trying to ride of like, how do we explain this without, having some kind of fourth wall thing going on. That was definitely one of the regrets of making it this way.
Well, that seems to be it for the questions. So, do you have any last-minute information or stories you'd like to throw at us?
Joseph actually is really bad about when I was editing them. He'd like walk into my room while I was putting everything together, and he'd just be like, "Wow, that looks awful," and I'd be like, "Thanks, Joseph."
Well, again, that goes back to, while I do consider myself a creative person, Troy initially does all the actual scripting. We both collaborated to come up with the ideas for each episode and, bounced ideas off of each other. So it wasn't, a one-sided thing. I did have input, and I don't want to sound too self-depreciating when I said I'm Matt Stone. I'm very, very much so a perfectionist. And I've always been that way, whether it's with music or, just this.
Yeah.
So after a point I just would try to leave Troy alone with the editing because, the final product was always something good. It's like towards the end, each update, I was like, wow, this is like your best work yet.
Oh.
And then the next one would come out. But during those first few weeks, like especially when we had the bumps with all the text from Jay, it took us 2 hours. May have taken us 15 minutes to shoot one scene, but it took us 2 hours to write the words because I would constantly be changing something.
Yeah, Joseph's kind of a grammar Nazi.
And I don't even have that good of grammar. It's weird.
Someone asked in like the other Q&A thing of what was the hardest part about Marble Hornets, and I was like, definitely the text that we would put up there, because there is this really fine line we had to walk of keeping it in character, which is a lot harder to do than I originally thought. Keeping it sounding like something Jay would say, without going into the whole realm of like, OMG, did you guys see that? What was in the background? Question mark, exclamation point, what? Like, people would usually say, after like a new entry came out or something, they would say something like,
Jay sounds robotic.
Yeah, like Jay sounds so removed from everything.
And he does.
Yeah. Like he should just get a shotgun and, go back to the house and kill everyone. That's not what he would do. And that was really hard to do, was being a good puppeteer, I guess? Yeah.
I'd say other than making it through my quality control Nazism, the hardest part was actually doing any sort of character development whatsoever, especially for Jay. That was one of the main criticisms I had of our series, as well as the viewers had of it, was it seemed like you could kind of plug any character into any slot and, you'd have the same product. And that came from having such a limited perspective with the shooting and wanting to keep the sight set on one thing, which was this whole mystery kind of aspect. So there wasn't one time to do a whole lot of character development, and there wasn't a practical way to do it. Well, I take that back. There probably was, but at the time, we couldn't figure out a way to do it without it seeming too obvious.
Yeah, like scripted and stilted.
Because we're not professional actors. We can write something really good, but if it doesn't work, then it's all for naught.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a theater minor, and that's pretty much all we got going for us.
Yeah, there is character development. You just have to really decide to pay attention to just that. Like, I'd say Jay is kind of like an impersonal person. You know,
Yeah.
he's not going to let his emotions become too overt. He's not overly aggressive. He's not going to take a gun to a house. He's going to take a knife, and then he's going to lose that knife. Alex, it's kind of like me.
Yeah, I mean, we were definitely talking about this while we were running. It's like, I think Jay is just me and Alex is just you.
Like, all those parts where Alex is being a jerk and everything, I can get like that. I'm especially like that at work. Outside of work, I'm more of, the relaxed Alex. The
26 Alex,
Yeah.
so just like chilling out on the couch or whatever.
the Alex that's doing this interview.
Doing your spreadsheets on the couch.
And there's definitely some character development there. It's not as deep as we would want, but it is.
I mean, not to do any kind of foreshadowing or anything, but there's definitely still time to work this kind of stuff out.
And that's something I'd definitely like to work on. And the next progression of Marble Hornets is making the characters feel more human.
Yeah.
Because if that's the main criticism, that's the biggest place where we can improve upon.
Yeah.
Well, that basically wraps up the interview. Thanks, guys, so much for coming on and doing this with us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. No problem.
And hopefully you guys can come back on and do a little interview for Marble Hornets, too.
Maybe.
Who
We'll
knows?
see. Who knows? Don't know
Back in Marble Hornets Part 2, 2012.
What is it? When
December 12th, 2012.
Yeah, that
Coming soon.
mark it on your calendars. December 12th, 2012.
Coming soon.